Well, Susan, today we're going to talk about a silent war. It's very much can be an internal war, but it's very real. And we're going to dive right into something that we're going to call the mom wars. And there is a war on moms. Like we're really given a battle to fight, but we have our hands tied behind our back and like a really super heavy backpack on and heavy shoes and like every impossible scenario is how moms are expected to carry all things. But there's also a mom war that happens within our mind. There's a mom war that happens among each other, which a lot of times is very passive aggressive and silent, but it's still there. So we're just gonna like rip the rug away from it so we can look at it because I don't think we talk about it very much because it sort of can feel like a shameful conversation. It can feel yucky. So I have some questions to ask you because you are a mom of young adults and one who's about to really enter into young adulthood. I'm a mom of more like a preteen and a elementary school age. So it's just different and I'm still learning. And I want to glean from
Me
you.
too. I'm still learning. So it's a never ending journey of learning.
Aren't we all? It's amazing because we can learn so much, but I love to glean from people who've already been through the trenches of things that I'm, either walking through or about to walk through because you've seen it, you've been there. So the first thing I want to talk about is mom guilt. And mom guilt it's something that we all experience. I'm almost positive that if we were to take a poll right now of anyone listening, that if they're a mom or a mom figure, doesn't matter if it's a birth mom, adoptive mom, foster mom, or someone who just really has taken a motherhood role. Like, let's be clear, there's a lot of motherhood roles that happen, whether you have a birth child or not. But we all would probably say that we have experienced mom guilt at one point or another, or maybe every day. And so when we think about how heavy that can feel on the inside, I'm wondering, where did mom guilt come from? Where did it start? What do you think?
Oh, wow. So I think when we talk about mom guilt, we have to talk about the expectations that, number one, society puts on us, but also the expectations that we put on ourselves. I think that we come from a generation of women who have been taught we can have it all. You can have the career, you can have the family, you can have the husband, the home, everything. You can have it all. And I feel like it might be a little harsh to say that's a bold lie, but you can't have it all and have everything successful. You can't. And so I know in my life, a lot of my mom guilt comes from feeling like I give my kids the short end of the stick because I'm exhausted from doing all the other things. So they're just getting the leftovers and not necessarily the best of me. And so if I give my kids the best of me, then somebody else is not getting the best of me because I cannot be the best of me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like, I wasn't even thinking of that. That's the best of what you said about expectations. The expectations are just immense. They're so immense. And we really can't just be 100% for everyone. And so when we're like cleaning the house, some of us moms will feel guilty about cleaning the house because we're not on the floor playing with our kids. But if we're on the floor playing with our kids and the house is a complete wreck, like we start to feel crazy inside.
Right.
So
it's proven. It is scientifically proven that when you live in an atmosphere of chaos, like it infects your mind. And so, I mean, we have to have I hate to say it's all about balance and meeting in the middle, but it really is. You cannot be 100% all the time for everyone in every situation. It's not realistic.
That's so true. Thank you for that, because I think it's a relief for young moms, especially who are just kind of diving into this, because I think maybe either no one warns us or we get warned and we ignore it, but it's something you figure out on your own, no matter what. Like, I felt like because I entered into motherhood so young, it was like, oh my gosh, no one told me about this. Well, they probably did, but I probably just brushed it off. Or maybe no one did. I don't know. I honestly can't remember, but you dive in and all of a sudden you're there and you're like, what is this?
Yeah. Or we say, oh, it'll be different for me. Yeah, that might have been your experience, but it'll be different for me.
Right. I can handle it. I
Yeah,
can handle it.
I'll be fine.
That's so funny. Yes. Well, so my next question is, in what ways or what areas did mom guilt really present itself to you the most, in that, like, when, and I know like the season you're in now is probably so different than before, but I guess like as a whole, from your whole motherhood experience, from, infancy to now, what were the ways that it really hit the hardest?
I mean, is it overstating it to say every choice that I've made has been like at least tinged with mom guilt? I mean, I got to be home with my daughter when she was young, like my first child. Like, I feel like I got to do the most right things with her. And then, the later kids came along and I'm like, I'm going to school, I'm working. I had to put my son in daycare at 6 weeks old. That broke my heart. The mom guilt that I had from that. And like he's 17 now, almost 18. And I think every choice that he makes, is it because I put him in daycare at 6 weeks old? That is mom guilt. It is so real. So real. Yes.
That just breaks my heart. Oh, because
know.
truly, when you're trying to figure it out for your family, and you're trying to, work and pay the bills and all of those things, you make the best decisions that you can at the time. Like, we all are just trying to make this thing work, but then we hold those things against us. Like, as soon as we start to see maybe a negative behavior in our child, we're like, oh, it has to be our fault. It can't possibly be their own sinful flesh nature, or like it can't possibly be because they're also human. It's because it's our fault.
It's because I did not read them a bedtime story on August 17th.
Well, and you know what doesn't help? This is just pure honesty coming out. It doesn't help sometimes because now we have social media. Like, we are the first real generations of moms that have to look at other moms. It's everywhere, and like, we see what is probably a facade, quite honestly, what people post out as their highlight reel and like their best moments, and we look at what they're doing and they're like, this is what I'm doing for my child, and this is how lovely everything is in it. And we know that there's still behind the curtain, like, they're experiencing things that are not all fuzzy kittens and rainbows and unicorns too. But we look at that and go, oh man, I really dropped the ball. Like, I'm not reading a bedtime story to my kid every single night, and I'm not like, able to do all of these things.
So we're talking about social media, and I no longer pack my children's lunches. I don't do that anymore. But I will tell you that I do love to watch these moms that make these ridiculous lunches for their preschoolers. Like, they've got the little cutters, making little shapes and little, like, it's on theme. Like, okay, everything is Moana themed today. I'm like, are you kidding? Who's got time for that?
I don't know. God bless them. I mean, it's
fascinating. It's
I
fascinating.
love to watch them too.
I love to watch them. I'm like, no, have some chips and a Go-Gurt. That's good enough.
There's that video of like the side by side where the mom, they're making
Mhm.
all of the cute lunch, and then the other mom's like grabbing a can of like Pringles and just
Yep.
shoving it down and like,
Mhm.
a sandwich or whatever. But it is, I truly, if there was ever a really special day, I would love to be able to do something like that. Like that would be such a special treat. But in the day to day, I'm telling you what, it is hard enough just to get by. And so we do what we got to do. And so I'll just put this in there. If you're a mom right now who watches videos like that and feels bad about yourself, please work on turning that off. Like maybe just don't watch those things for a little while, because God is equipping you to be the mom that he created you to be. And we can't always just look at someone else and think we got to be them.
Exactly. And I want to tag on to that and say to every mom out there, like God chose you specifically to be the mom to your children. And the things that you are equipped with are exactly what your children need from you. So
Yeah.
if you are the mom that makes the fancy lunches for your kids, God bless you. God bless you for doing that. But if you're just getting a can of Pringles and a Go-Gurt, listen, they get a little protein from the Go-Gurt, they get a little energy from the Pringles. Good job, mom. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yep.
Amen. And so the next thing I want to ask you is, does it get better? It's a
No.
painful question to ask because I already kind of had a feeling that you were
I'm
going to
so
say
sorry.
no.
I'm so
But
sorry. Okay, so my grandma, shout out Grandma Judy, because this is one of her sayings. She loves to say this. You have to believe it's going to get better. It's not, but you have to believe that it's going to. Okay. So, and I use this, I apply that saying to everything in my life. Like it is so widely applicable. You have to believe it's going to get better. It might not. It might not get better, but you have to believe that it's going to, and you have to hold that strong, that belief. So, as a mom of two young adult ladies, and one soon to be young adult man. Oh, I don't like saying man. Young
I
man.
was like, ooh,
Young
ooh.
man. Ooh, it hurts. Yeah. And he's got the facial hair and he's just hairy. He is hairy now. He wore shorts the other day, and
Oh.
I'm like, it's like a gorilla. Oh Lord. Where's my little bald-legged baby boy? Gone. He's gone. He's a young man now. Sorry, Jeffrey. Sorry if you ever watch this.
That's so funny.
So does it get better? Does mom get better? No. But you become a better warrior against it. And I love the whole idea. We've titled this episode "The Mom Wars" because it is a war that you have to fight against your own mind and against your own thoughts, but also against all of the expectations that are inundated on us every day. And so, no, does the mom guilt get better? No, but you get better at fighting against it, and you get better at calling it out for what it is. It is a lie. It is not true. You are not the worst mom ever. You are not a failure as a mother. Your children are not failing in life.
Mm-hmm.
You get better at calling out those lies. And yeah, so if anything gets better, that's the part that gets better.
Well, that's encouraging. That's encouraging. And it's realistic. It's honest. Like I wouldn't want you to sit and tell me or any other parent that like, oh yeah, this goes away if you just do X, Y, and Z. Like I want the honest truth. I think people appreciate when we say, oh no, this is still a war. It's a war. You gotta get up and you gotta put on your big girl pants every day and you gotta fight it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gets better that way. So thank you for sharing that. Can you just kind of in wrapping up that element of, you mentioned about the mom war in our mind, can you tell us a little bit more about what other ways do we experience the mom wars in our mind? Whether it's like, I mean, we talked about mom guilt, but there's also kind of that shame that we can feel and carry around. There's sometimes it can be where we repeat the mistakes that we learned from others.
Yeah.
Like it was behaviors that we learned, whether like, oh my gosh, I love my mom. My mom is terrific. She is one of the most filled mom guilt people though that I know. But I'm like, are you kidding me? Like she is a mom hero. She's my mom hero. But she still
Mhm.
like plays that reel in her head of all the mistakes that she made. But not all of us had the best mom. Not all of us had a mom that I mean, there are people out there that don't talk to their mom, and maybe for good reason.
Mhm.
That breaks my heart because
Yeah.
I pray restoration in those areas for anybody. But sometimes we learn unhealthy behaviors from a mom or a mom figure or someone who is taking care of us. So can you speak to kind of some of those, the shame that we feel, the repeating the
Absolutely.
mistakes, and then breaking the cycle that we've maybe experienced?
Mhm. So, news flash, everyone, you are not perfect. So I'm a recovering perfectionist, I like to say. And so one of the very first things I think that we have to recognize is that we're not perfect. We have flaws.
Mm.
And, some of that does come from, like you said, behaviors that we have learned, patterns that have been established in our lives. So, not everybody knows this about me, but I struggle with anxiety. And I think that that ties in a lot to mom guilt. It goes back to that anxiety and the expectations that we put on ourselves. A lot of the expectations that I put on myself, nobody else is putting those on me. Not my husband, not even my kids. They're not putting
Mm.
those expectations on me. I put them on myself. And so I'm going to say, like, one of the best ways to kind of break these cycles is you need to find somebody to talk to. Therapy was incredible for me at helping me identify those behavior patterns and those thought patterns that I just
Mm.
wasn't consciously aware of. So I want to make sure every mom out there, every human out there knows there is no stigma attached to going to therapy, taking medication if you need to. Like, those are great tools that God can use to help affect change in your life and make your life better. So
Mm.
no stigma at all if that is what you need to do in your mom journey. There's a great book by Joyce Meyer, Battlefield of the Mind. And I think it connects so much to what we're talking about that mind war that goes on where we all have these tapes. Do you know what a tape is?
I do.
You know what a tape
I
is?
do. Oh
Kind
yeah.
of like an older word. So some of our younger people might not know what a tape is, but we all have these. What else can I call them? Reels. That's a new word, right? Reels. So we all have these reels that play in our minds that we have to honestly go to battle with. You
Mm.
have to be able to take that thought captive and submit it to Christ. I mean, that's the only way of breaking these kind of cycles is, number one, being able to identify the thought. And,
Mhm.
if you can't identify those thoughts, if you cannot identify it and say that is a lie, if you can't, number one, pray about it. Ask the Holy Spirit for discernment. And number two, talk to a professional who can help you really identify those lies. Okay.
Mm.
Because once you can identify them, it becomes much easier to say, you're a lie. This does not belong here. One of these things is not like the others. Like, I'm a good mom. I'm a good wife. I make the best decision every day with the knowledge that I have. Those are all true things. But I'm a failure. That's a lie. We have to take it, grab it, throw it down and stomp it because
Mm.
we can't allow lies to penetrate our mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
So
no, that's so good.
that is my best advice to any young mom coming up, like, please, if you need help, get help.
Yeah. Yeah. And at no matter what stage,
Yeah.
like we talk a lot more now about postpartum, where years ago that was not even really something that people, I don't even know if they studied it. Like it just wasn't something that was very known, that, oh, this is just something chemically that can just happen, or like hormonally in your body after you have a baby. So if it's right away and you're a newborn mom with an infant and you really didn't expect this to be your experience, and you're expecting to just hold your baby and fall in love and have this kind of Pinterest experience of like everything looking a certain way, and you're not experiencing that, talk to someone. Don't hold it in. Don't have that inner conversation being, well, I must be a terrible mom. I must not have ever been meant to be a mom. That's not true. And if you're a mom of toddlers and they are quite honestly just being toddlers, and toddlers can be hard to say it nicely. They could be destructive and mean, and it's just normal kid stuff, but it can make you feel like, if we be honest, there's times where we're like, what did I do? Like,
Right. Am I
what
raising a
happened to my
monster?
life?
Yes.
Like you start to have that daydream of like hopping on a plane and flying to an island and, you know, laying on the beach all day to like not have anyone touch you because you just are overstimulated and all of those things. But that realness of just things that are happening that we didn't really expect or we didn't know about, can then think, oh, well, this must not be meant for me.
Right.
I was never meant to be a mom. And it's just not true. So no matter at what stage of life, be honest with ourselves and get help. It's beautiful advice, Susan, and it's so needed. We need sometimes for someone to take us by the shoulders and say, hey, this is okay to do. It's perfectly healthy to do.
Sounds great.